Hey, this is Dave from metalepidemic.com. Thank you for checking out our YouTube video. Please feel free to hit the subscribe button below if you like this type of content, and we hope you enjoy the review. What's up guys, Dave here from Metal Epidemic, back with another album review. And for this review, Duncan Kyle and I have been checking out the new album from Nashville three-piece Yautja. The band's new album, The Lurch, will be released on May 21st via Relapse Records. So, Yautja. We've just mentioned this before we started recording, but I do feel like this band may have unknowingly created some new Scottish slang. Like I feel like I've used this word before in my kind of day-to-day.
I have definitely used it after banging my toe off the side of my bed.
Right. Yeah.
Just fuck it.
Yeah.
Like that literally is the sound I make. So
You know when you're trying to like hit a fly or a wasp out the window.
it's
That
yep.
Yeah, we cunt. You know
That's
that kind
it.
of
It's
fucking-
like well, I don't know if you know this, but Scotland is twinned with Nashville, so got a great history of drinking whiskey, so we're on point here.
Sounds like you're in Scotland. You tried telling someone just to get out.
We
Yeah.
constantly, yeah. That's
Yes.
but to be honest, in Scotland, you're constantly telling things to get out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about this band? They've been on the go for over 10 years. This is actually only their second full-length album. Their last album, Songs of Descent, came out in 2014, although they have released a number of EPs and splits and stuff. The album was recorded by Scott Evans at the legendary Steve Albini's Electrical Audio Studio in Chicago. So these guys completely new to me. Haven't heard of them before, but when I see a new release coming from Relapse Records, I do get a wee bit excited about it.
I mean, this band is the epitome of the Relapse record release. This is what I expect when, recently we've had a lot of things from Relapse that have been kind of different. You know, like Genghis Strong kind of pushing the kind of synthy sort of stuff. Zombie doing the kind of, and that felt very much out of sync with what I imagine Relapse bands sound like. But this one is on fucking point, like 100% a Relapse band.
Absolutely. And when I saw the name of the band, I was kind of intrigued as well. I was like, what does this even mean? I had to look it up. But it's actually it's a Predator, like from the Predator movies. That's what it is.
Right.
Not the Chris Hansen, why don't you take a seat type Predator,
Well, I hope not. You
army-
don't really want to
army
name your
Predator.
name after like a alien word for a paedophile. I mean, that's never going to sell records.
No, not at all. No.
This is the one ugly motherfucker.
Yes.
I've got you.
Yeah, there's a whole website on it.
Deep dived, you can tell. Like he's got that glint in his eye, as if to say, "I now have far too much knowledge about predators that I didn't need, but now I
So many
have."
different types. I didn't know there was this whole world of them out there.
A
But
whole
anyway.
world, a whole new world.
Musically, as you said, it sounds very much like a Relapse band. This is like an amalgamation of sludge and grind, power violence, punk, bit of noise rock in there. It definitely crosses a lot of borders genre-wise, but they do a pretty good job of keeping it sounding well blended. When I was listening to it, it kind of reminded me of like a mix of like Converge, Unsane, and Full of Hell, but with like a kind of thou kind of type ambience about it at times as well. As an album for me, like it doesn't come with a huge amount of surprises. It's, as you can imagine, for the list of bands I mentioned, a very kind of hostile, caustic sounding
Ugly.
tracks.
This is an ugly fucking
absolutely.
album. Front to back, this is ugly. It's got hit
yes.
on every single ugly branch on the way down the ugly tree.
Yeah, it's got a real kind of like sense of urgency about it, like pretty much from the get-go. There's no like subdued introductions on these tracks. They just come out swinging. But like that's not to say that the structures of these tracks are all the same. Like they absolutely mix it up in terms of like tempos and the different styles on the album. I actually quite like the more kind of groove heavy tracks on this album. Tracks like your Wired Depths or Clock Cleaner, for example, kind of less about the kind of like charge in the head in that kind of like full of hell type way, and more about kind of delivering a bit of a kind of darker tone. I was actually picking up some kind of Ken Mode vibes on those tracks actually. They felt a little bit more like kind of abstract in the delivery, which I thought was a really good way of breaking the album up from the like all out kind of barn burners like Tethered or The Weight, where they're a bit more kind of direct and like go for the jugular. But I think the most impressive thing here is how well they mix these styles. They execute every style with the same kind of level of proficiency. This doesn't sound like a band that's like really good at one style but are trying to force some other kind of other bits and pieces in they're not quite as good at. When they like lean into the sludge stuff, they're great at it. When they incorporate the grind or the noise rock elements, they absolutely nail it. They don't feel like they have any kind of weaknesses when it comes to the styles. And also, I love the fact this is just a three-piece band as well. Like there's something about a three-piece that just really appeals to me. Just the fact they can create this like level of chaos between them is really cool. And they all do vocals as well. Like even though they all have like similar tones, they do have differences in pitch, which I think adds enough of a difference to keep the vocals from becoming too repetitive. I also love the production. I think it's a very kind of natural sound. There's no like time aligning or the feeling of it being like overly processed. It feels very much like they were just like thrown in the room and just smashed this album out, and I kind of love that about it, to be honest. Whilst I was on my quest of research on this, I came across a live one of these Audio Tree sessions awesome. on YouTube, and they are wicked good live. Like I could just sit and watch this all day. The drummer in particular is all over the place. You know, just one of these guys that you just want to sit and watch for hours. Well, I could anyway. There's also a live set on YouTube from Broadcast in Glasgow from 2019.
How did we miss this? Like,
I don't know.
But I suppose we were out of the loop then, Dave. We were.
Yeah, it was like right at the end of 2019, like November-ish, something like that. So like not far away from the whole kind of like pandemic thing starting. But this was just, it looks like the ideal venue for these guys. Like it's a really like compact, like a wee kind of box room. One of those like rooms you can imagine getting really sweaty really quickly.
Yeah, Broadcast is a tiny room.
Yeah, but it sounds fucking awesome. Like it just made me want to like see them live. I just appreciated them a whole other level after seeing that live video. And I think once you see that video, this band makes so much more sense when you actually see them as a three-piece just going at it. It's so fucking cool. My only criticism of this album is the length. I think it feels a touch too long, if I'm honest. Not by a huge amount. I'd say like maybe a track 2 at the most, but it clocks in about 46 minutes, I think. So I think me personally, I'd have kept it maybe under the 40-minute mark, but it's a really small gripe, to be honest. Apart from that, I really dug this, really enjoyed it, and yeah, it ticks all the Relapse boxes, to be honest. So if you're into that type of band, you know, the Relapse type band, then you will dig this. Duncan, what about yourself? What do you think of Yautja?
I'm going to defer to Kyle because I've already said a couple of things that may indicate that I quite like this. And you made one comment about, I don't know, I think it was something to do about organic production or something. And Kyle Riley smiled as if he had something to say on that. So I'll pass to Kyle. I'll mop up at the end. So
cool.
Oh, I couldn't believe it was a trio. Like when I was listening to it, and then I read the notes, I was like, this is 3 people? Come on, no. 3 people should not be allowed to make this amount of incredible noise on their own without some help. But they don't have help, and because the production is totally organic and natural, and it works, and it's perfect, and I love it. It's kind of crap. Well, it's not crap. It's just like it's got some grit to it, and it's not perfect, and it sounds amazing for who they are, and I really love that it just suits them down to the music. It's like the music is ugly and awful and discordant, and they're not trying to be pretty boys in your face, and the production absolutely fits it down to the ground, including the kind of dodgy reverb on the overheads when you hear the bell of the ride going. You're like, that's a lot of reverb there, but all right, cool. It works. What I really want to point out, though, is that bass tone. that gave me a smile from ear to ear when it came in. It was like, oh, it's grindy and deep. And I was like, yeah, you guys know what you're doing with that bass. Holy fuck. And then it's not boring. It keeps you guessing all the way through. Well, it doesn't really keep you guessing, but it keeps you on your toes at least. And it's, things that I agree. I think a track or two at the end could have been cut off and I would have been as happy with it. The last 2 tracks came on when I was listening to it. I was like, this is still going. But it was a good couple of last tracks, so I can't really fault it for that because they're not bad tracks at all. It was just like, okay.
I was the same. I wasn't sure. Like I was listening, I was thinking, what I wouldn't know what to cut from it. You know what I mean? Even though I thought it was too long, I was like, I don't know what tracks would have picked to take out.
Yeah, difficult. Exactly. Well, the thing is, with the tracks as well, you can actually identify which track is what just by listening to it. You go through it a few times, like, oh, this is that track. And it's like nothing really blends together, which is really good for a band like this because they clearly have a style, even though they're mixing a few different genres. But it's really good that they can have tracks that are just like, oh, this is that track, and I really like it. So I was really impressed with that. And they lean into their grooves so much, and it's amazing. It sounds so good when you get everybody just grooving in a room together, and it just you can really hear what they wanted to put into it. So it did a lot of good things for me, which Duncan was pointing in the other direction, but but no.
I mean, nice. I'll just lean in with a lot of what's been said. I think the production on this is a revelation. It's the sort of it reminds me of. Because it's that Relapse sound, but it reminds me of like those like kind of the seminal Relapse releases. I'm thinking about the era of when, like Remission came out, and you heard these big fucking ugly. Everything just sounded ugly and huge and monstrous, and that's what this band have in spades. The changes in the different styles of what they're playing are as organic as I've heard recently from a band. Like what I loved about it was that you got like changes from like kind of really nasty, horrible kind of punky sounding stuff and this kind of noise rocky stuff, and then being hit with a sludge at the end of it, and it all flowed nice and seamless. It's not as if we build up to a bit, then we have to stop, and then we're on our guitar riff, and then they're all coming back in. It's just the riffs just flow into each other, which is like a great indicator of good songwriting. Just really good song, understanding your genre, understanding your craft. I love the vocals on this, the different combinations of the different cadences of what the vocalists are doing are brilliant. It just adds another level. They maximise for a 3-piece, they maximise pretty much everything a 3-piece can give you, like short of like one of them turning up like a flea like trombone to play in the background. You know what I mean? That they really do maximise everything, so you're getting the band at their fullest. Some of the songs do run a bit long, and I think that's maybe where some of the lethargy comes in towards the end. You've got like 2 or 3 songs in here that are easily over 5 minutes, 2 that clock in over 7, and listening to almost in isolation, they work perfectly fine. But I'm going to kind of side with you guys. Maybe didn't grate on me as much, but it is the sound, the urgency, the heaviness, that there is a tipping off point where it's not that it becomes ineffective, but your body becomes so acclimated to listening to it, it doesn't have the same effect as when you're listening to it at the start. So it never really loses its sense of heaviness at all throughout the entire album, and keeps you going right to the very end. This, like, if we're talking about the stereotypical Relapse sound, this is there. But what I love about it is they're not, to me, like Relapse bands are either Converge or they're Mastodon or they're Red Fang, and this band are like an amalgamation of lots of different things which have brought it into that sound and just made it work. It's a great release. Really enjoyed it.
Nice one. So ratings for this new one from Yautja, the Lurch. I'd probably go in at a solid 4 out of 5 for me. As I said, my main gripe was it was a little bit too long. Like it's not anything I haven't heard done before, but I like the mix that they've got, all the different styles, and they blend them really well. And I can see myself going back to this and firing this on when I'm in the mood for something just really fucking aggressive and heavy. So I'd go 4 out of 5. Kyle?
Yeah, I would absolutely just echo you on that. It's 4 out of 5. I thought actually they sounded more unique than a lot of bands I've heard recently, so I was definitely and quite impressed with how they managed to get their production totally organic and unique. It's really, really nice. So 4 out of 5.
Nice. Duncan?
I'm going to join you, gentlemen. It's a 4 out of 5 from this guy.
Nice one.
I love it when we all agree.
I know.
It's not often, but when it does happen, it makes me all warm and fuzzy inside.
This one drops on May 21st on Relapse Records. If you want to check them out, it's facebook.com/Yautja TN. I'll put a little link in the description below to their Facebook and to their Bandcamp page and stuff, so you can check out the album pre-order. Thanks once again for checking out the review. Much appreciated. We'll be back with another review very soon, but until then, take care. Speak to you soon.
Bye, everyone.
See you later.